stuff dating simulators.
Yeah, particularly PS2 and PSP era ones.
Yeah, there was a big, like, I don't remember where, I think it was when I was in, like, middle school, high school, like, this was happening, like...
Oh, yeah, the classic era of I'd walk into your room and you'd be like, I'm not watching anything!
Anime! That's literally what would be happening.
And I'd just turn around and go, okay then. And then I'd go proceed to watch Inuyasha, probably.
It was a time. There were so many. One of them that's probably a really big one is like called Hakuoki. I'd probably butchered
None of
that.
these were dubbed.
No, none of these were dubbed. These were all subbed.
You were lucky to get subs, even
You
if they
were
weren't.
lucky to get a sub.
Even if they weren't real subs.
And basically, the main thing about all of these is it had really pretty male protagonists that were all like the dateable characters, and then a girl that was actually pretty plain. Like she was always kind of plain, and like you kind of had to, if there was a character, it was a plain person, or they made a character for the shows.
Yes. Hey guys, I'm Bill, also known as the Barbecue Games on Instagram.
And I'm Alex, his sister, who brings only chaos.
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast, a mostly video game centered podcast.
But half the time, we just talk about anime.
And that collecting thing, well, that's mostly just an implication at best.
So come along and enjoy us on this adventure
as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how you been?
Well, the Pokemon podcast didn't take that long to record since there was like barely any in X and Y.
Yeah, so now we're moving on to our next podcast for the day. We kind of already talked about it. We went grocery shopping today. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, we did.
You can't buy alcohol before 10 o'clock, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But there's a liquor store, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yep. So that was our date today. We bought groceries.
Yep.
Because adults.
Groceries, we're gonna eat pizza tonight.
I'm drinking a sparkling ice fruit punch right now.
Oh, and I'm drinking a Hint watermelon. 0 calories and sweeteners.
0 sugar. With vitamins and antioxidants. I'm sure that's very interesting to the people.
Mine's just water with a hint of watermelon flavor.
Yes.
They're pretty good. I like them.
Sustenance liquid, as they always say. But anyways, moving on now. I guess,
Sorry.
Anyways, so the topic for today's episode is we're going
Pokemon. Just kidding.
I mean, a little, but we're secretly a Pokemon podcast at this point that talks about RuneScape every now and then.
Yeah, in anime.
In anime, collecting, what's that? But anyways.
Hey, you did a little collecting update.
In the last episode, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, I bought some mangas.
Oh yeah, we did buy manga. We should talk about that.
I bought some mangas. What did you buy for mangas?
I bought the entire series. I bought the omnibus for Azumanga Daioh.
Yeah.
In one convenient little book.
Yep.
Which, honestly, that's not a bad deal. Big, thick volume right here. But it's the full book in one thing.
Yep.
Which makes me realize just how short Azumanga Daioh actually is.
Huh. Well, I bought the One Piece multi-volume like manga sets. So I bought volumes, the set of East Blue One Piece volumes 1, 2, and 3, and then I got volumes 4, 5, and 6 pack, and then I got volumes 7, 8, and 9. Which I believe, I don't know if it finishes Fishman Island. Not Fishman Island. Let's see. Well, it's with Nami's Island. I'm forgetting the name of it. Oh, okay. It's like I think it's like almost. I think there's like a few more chapters before that. But yeah, I think I just need. There's only one more that's East Blue. and then I'll have like the full East Blue set.
And that's the beginning of the thing, right?
Yeah, East Blue is like Luffy first venturing out, collecting members of his crew, and before they hit the Grand Line. So I think there's one more before they hit the Grand Line, and then it will go into the Baroque Works arc.
Nice. Well, anyways, talking about anime and manga, one of our big the idea of this entire podcast, I guess we can kind of encourage manga too, because that also is a bit of a thing.
Yeah.
But we were going to talk about anime and manga adaptions of video game material
Yeah.
to keep things.
Mostly anime though, because I don't know many manga adaptations.
Yeah, I know a few here and there.
Yeah.
So, I guess the best place to start would probably be the most well-known Pokemon.
Yeah.
And because I still remember, honestly, like I remember Pokemon as the anime before the games themselves.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And the Pokemon anime is pretty iconic to this day, even if it hasn't aged particularly well. Because the Pokemon anime itself is, season 1 at least was fairly interesting from the start.
Yeah.
Like it did bring up a few different like ideas. Like imagine if you had two you had two Metapods and you got into a battle with another trainer. What would actually happen there?
Yeah.
Like that was a kind of funny thing. The whole twist where Ash doesn't start with one of the starters was definitely different, because obviously they were going to turn Pikachu into the marketing machine that he is nowadays.
Yep.
That show, it's still going on to this day, which is crazy. Like it's honestly become its own standalone thing. It was also probably one of the biggest for kids animes pretty much ever released.
Wow.
And I always remember like the theme song alone is still one of the most iconic things of all time. Like the original, like, I want to be the very best.
Yeah, it's such a meme now too.
Well, I always laughed because during the 90s, the Pokemon intros were like super 80s, and during the 2000s, they were like super 90s.
Yep.
For whatever reason. Yeah. A lot of iconic scenes, though, like memories, like the whole, like... You remember season 1 was probably the most interesting because, like, that was like the one where, like, Ash literally got gifted pretty much every badge throughout the series.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I think the only ones he actually legitimately earned were, like, the lightning, the electric gym, and maybe the grass gym.
Yeah.
I want to say. I know, like, the last gym, he literally just kind of, like, the badge.
Also, he just doesn't age. But everyone else around him does.
But he's had multiple birthdays, and, like, my favorite was Gary Oak was 10 years old driving a car with his entire posse.
Yeah.
And then becomes a freaking researcher by season, like, 4 or whatever.
Yeah. So it's like, why? I just don't understand why they didn't be like, alright, he's not 12 anymore. Isn't he 10?
He's 10, yeah.
Yeah, he's not 10 anymore. He's 12 now, guys, okay? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But then again, The Simpsons also.
Well, that's just cartoon logic in general.
Yeah.
The problem with Pokemon was, though, it's like other characters have aged around.
Yeah, like Misty and Brock have both aged, like, because Misty's now the gym leader.
Yeah.
And it's like, and she clearly looks older, too.
Well, yeah, because they updated their designs to their modern designs, but Ash has yet to, like, never... Ash just looks younger now than he did in the start. And the show also kind of got really repetitive after a while, where, like, you started out with, like, the first few seasons, he kept every Pokemon he caught, and then all of a sudden they started this whole idea of, let's have him just get rid of all his Pokemon, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
And then, because we have to promote the video games. But it got really frustrating, although he did finally win the Pokemon tournament.
Oh,
Yeah, like really recently. Huh. But I guess Pokemon itself, I want to say it's not the greatest adaptation of the games.
No.
Themselves, because it really doesn't follow how the games work, which is why they eventually gave us that Pokemon Origins anime.
Ah.
Which was based off of the game adaptation, and it was like, it revolved around Red and Blue, and it actually had like him go from like gym to gym and actually like battle. It was only a 4-part little mini series thing, but it was pretty interesting. It definitely felt way more like the
like the
games than the actual anime did,
nice
especially
call.
as it went on. Well, we can go. That's not even getting into the 4Kids edits and stuff.
Yep.
Which, I mean, to be fair, like especially like the certain episodes were like edited out
Mm.
in a localization.
Whoops.
Now, obviously, Pokemon's probably the most well-known video game anime adaptation of all time.
Yeah.
To the point where a lot of people didn't even realize it was an anime.
Mm. You mean a video game?
Well, no, a lot of people, like kids back in the day when we didn't even know what anime was, we just thought it was a cartoon.
Okay, that's what you meant.
But another one from that era was Pokemon's quote-unquote competitor, Digimon. And so Digimon technically is a game first, because it was technically based off those Tamagotchi things.
Yep.
And there was video games. So Digimon is an interesting one, because I actually think the anime is superior to most of the actual games themselves. Because the anime itself for Digimon is arguably one of the more competent like animes. Like Digimon had full on arcs and like a story that went on, not like Pokemon where it's kind of like you'd watch an episode and be like, oh, he's here at this point, whatever.
Yep.
Like Digimon had like recurring plot lines and like these full on arcs that you'd have to keep up with.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that like you'd have to like, you couldn't watch the show out of order because it wouldn't make any sense.
No, yeah.
And it was very hard to keep up with it back in the day.
Like Pokemon was definitely more on the lines of like the monster of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Not really monster, more just like battle of the week.
What
like,
wacky situation is Ash and the team gonna get into this time?
Yeah, and oh, sorry, my throat just got a little bleh. And definitely Digimon was not that. Digimon you had to keep up with, and like if we missed an episode, we would be like, what happened?
Oh, wait, what happened? There's an evolution here? Oh, they're here. I thought they were here before. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still going on to this day. It took a bit of a break during the mid-2000s after Frontiers. That was the one where they turned into the Digimon.
Yep.
Where they kind of like took a break for a while and then they revived it with like a new series. And then there was the Digimon Adventure Tri movies, which were like a continuation of the classic series. And then they just did a reimagining of the original series recently.
Oh, really?
That I've heard.
Oh, yeah, because I remember I saw photos of the new designs and people were complaining because they didn't really look like the characters.
Well, it was that and they didn't bring back the original voice actors.
Ah.
For reasons, but...
I kind of do have to agree, though, is, like, their new redesigns are very, like, if you didn't tell me they were Digimon characters, I would have thought they were just any other anime character.
Yeah. Well, that's why I preferred, like, the Adventure Tri movies, because those felt like a proper, like, sequel.
Yeah.
Like, continuation. But, yeah, so Digimon was probably... Back in the day, it was probably the most, like, complete video game adaptation, even though I guarantee you most people didn't even realize it was based off a video game.
No, yeah, I bet you did.
The Digimon games themselves are very bizarre. Not all of them are bad, but there is some very weird inconsistencies.
Yeah.
But after that, though, so growing up, video game animes were kind of... I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! I guess is another... But that's more of a card game, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of a card game than video game.
Yeah, I mean, there was Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is a bit of a stretch. Beyblade, which is also a stretch.
Yeah, because that was a actual physical game.
Yeah, and there was video game adaptions to it. So, yeah, we kind of, like, were hit or miss with them, and it wasn't until... I mean, there's a ton of these things in hindsight, but I guess if we're going by what we remember personally, the next mega one that me and Alex have like strong memories with was Persona 4 the animation.
Yeah.
And Persona 4 the animation was nuts.
Yeah.
So
well, it's just the thing about Persona 4 the animation that was so awesome too was that it gave a character life that like didn't really have any personality, and they gave him a complete personality and just went with it. And I feel like that really honestly made the show.
Yes. So
Persona... And every time we talk about this anime, it makes me just want to rewatch it too.
So Persona 4 the animation is like a straight up like it follows the plot of the original just Persona 4.
Yeah.
And they actually brought in, so it was Sentai Filmworks did the dubbing, but they actually, what was cool is they got almost every voice actor from the game back. There was a few exceptions like Naoto's voice didn't return. They got someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Chie's voice switched to Aaron Fitzgerald, but I think Aaron Fitzgerald became the voice pretty much for every game after that, to the point where she's probably more well known as Chie now.
Yep.
And Teddy was replaced by Sam Riegel, who has been Teddy for pretty much every game other than the original game.
Yeah.
So it's very, but other than that, like all the main VAs were back. Like Johnny Young Bosch, like came back as Yunara Akami now, who was previously an unnamed protagonist.
Yep.
And the only other exception was Troy Baker, who only did the first half of the series as Kanji. He later, I think he got married, and that's why he was like gone the second half.
Oh, okay.
Like he was on his honeymoon or something, and then they brought in Matt Mercer, who's just been replacement Troy Baker for years now. But that show is funny because like it added a whole bunch of like filler episodes that like stretched out the plot and like added like stuff that you'd never think about. And the way that they incorporated like the social links in was they'd have like full on episodes that would deal with like say like the job social links where you had like the tutor, the nurse, and then the daycare mother. And the Death Arc and like all these different characters.
Death Arc.
Yeah, the old lady who was the Death Arcana, which was cool. There was also like the camping trip where they incorporated the girl the girl who died in the beginning. Her brother had his arc in there.
Yep.
And the sense of humor was great because it really brought a different life. Like Yuna Akami went from being the player's avatar to like he became like kind of like this mimetic badass, where he was like his whole gag was like he's just perfect at everything, which was really fun. It was cool because you had Johnny Young Bosch voicing not only Yuna Akami but also the game's main villain Toru Adachi, and they changed up his voice a little to make him a bit more like kind of edgy.
Yeah.
When playing Adachi, but more calm when playing you, which was great. Like, and the show has so much character. Like, it's got a great balance of the regular like the non TV world stuff and the actual like fighting.
Yeah.
Like none of it is like streamlined. It's like a perfectly paced 26 episoder that pretty much includes just about everything from the game at that point.
Yeah.
Plus a little more. And that was later followed up by the Golden anime, which to this day I still don't think has been... It was never dubbed.
I never watched it.
No, I watched a few episodes of the sub, and... So the problem is, it was based off... The whole idea was they were trying to add in the additional scenes from the Golden, mostly the stuff involving Mary.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, the focus on more slice of life and the less focus on the combat really made the show feel kind of just pointless.
Yeah, well, especially didn't feel like Persona. I mean, like, yes, like, the social aspect is big in Persona, but, like, you gotta have the battles, you gotta have that. Like, it's just not the same.
It also basically just became the Yu and Mari show, so...
Yeah.
Which was very...
And if you weren't a huge fan of her character, then...
I mean, I liked her character, but I don't really like her as a love interest. Like, in the games.
Well, because you're Yukiko. All the way.
Well, regardless of that.
You ship Yukiko. Yuki.
Anyways.
I was just attacked violently. Please send help. Thank you.
But anyways, so what's funny though is then we get an interesting case where Persona 5 comes out. And of course Persona 5 is massive.
Yes.
So of course there's going to be an anime adaptation.
Yeah.
One of the weirdest anime adaptations in a while, because the Japanese version is very mediocre. Like, it is the most by the numbers, like, straight up just copy paste anime ever.
Yep.
The dub, though, which for a while we weren't even sure we were going to get a dub, the dub completely changes it around. Because the dub characters bring the characters to life. Because the Persona 5 has such an amazing like dub, like cast of characters.
Yep.
And we finally got to hear Xander Mobus play Joker, now known as Ren, I think his name is. And he really gives Ren kind of that snarky like attitude that you kind of get from playing the game, where he's not a bad guy, but he also is kind of a snarker. Like he isn't 100% like the ultimate good like you was.
Yep.
And he's also not the mimetic badass either. He's more of like a deadpan snarker. Like kind of he has a personality though,
Yep.
that's very fleshed out. And you're just getting to hear like all the characters like doing these lines and stuff because the game has a great like cast. And yeah, its plot isn't as solid as four's in a lot of ways, but it's still a fun show to watch even if it's the animation is kind of meh. And it is available on Funny and Crunchyroll, I believe,
Huh.
to watch fully dubbed because buying the Blu-ray set is ridiculous. You know, I saw it and I saw it at Anime Boss for $300, and I was like, "Fuck
Ugh.
that!"
Yeah, no.
Like I'm
I
not
will
paying
just,
money for that.
I will either legally stream it or illegally stream it
Yeah.
at that point.
But those were probably the biggest ones. So now I want to get into another. Well, actually, do you have any you want to talk about first before I get into the next one? Or
I mean, like, I think mine can probably go towards the end because mine can all be bundled into one.
okay.
Like,
You watch this one as well.
Yes.
So another big one from this one's actually kind of newer is the Ace Attorney anime.
Yeah.
The Ace Attorney. So what's funny is the Ace Attorney anime is similar to Persona 5, where it wasn't super well received in Japan initially, but the dub completely just brings it to life.
Yeah.
Because it's based. So the Ace Attorney anime is essentially it follows the. It was 2 seasons. The first season was the first 2 games, and then the third season was entirely Trials and Tribulations. But they add in a whole bunch of backstory to flesh out the characters. Like you get a lot of like Phoenix, Miles, and Larry's like childhood. There's like full on episodes going over like Miles's backstory, going over like him living with the Varnheimers
Yep.
back in the day, and it just like the humor is so spot on because the dub catches what made the U.S. like localization so memorable, like all the different character quirks and like jokes. Like we get Dick Gumshoe, and he's exactly like you'd imagine him in the game.
Yep.
Phoenix and Maya are perfect. Like every character is so well done. The filler arcs are great too. Like you remember the train arc
Yep.
where they're like solving the mystery on the train. That's completely filler.
Yep.
Also, you get like more of a Mia. Like you get some like the whole like flashbacks with Mia. You learn about her relationship with Diego, who later became Godo.
Yep.
I know in Japan it wasn't as well received, probably because the Japan's like because Ace Attorney is very different in America because they changed up a whole lot of stuff for localization that made it so memorable. Although they had to keep the ramen thing rather than burgers because you can't change animation that much.
Yeah.
So Maya loves ramen, but Maya is Maya's probably my favorite because she's like exactly how you'd imagine her.
Yeah.
Like her voice is literally exactly what I expected. It's annoying as shit, but I love it. That one was great. The animation was phenomenal. It also kind of brought a new like life to Ace Attorney because I thought the series was kind of like stagnant for a bit there.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm trying to think of other ones now because
Danganronpa?
Danganronpa is another good one because that's Danganronpa is interesting because it's another like series of like I think more people remember it for the anime than the game sometimes.
Yeah, well, I think a lot more people were introduced to the anime versus the games at first, because it was easier. Because wasn't it originally on like the Vita only?
So yeah, the original games were Trigger Happy Havoc and Ultra Despair, I think.
Yep.
And they were both Vita exclusives. They were killer apps for the Vita.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Vita.
Woo.
But yeah, they didn't get like ported to consoles until like PS4.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I think were first introduced with the anime adaptation, which animation-wise looks just like the games in a lot of ways. I'd say you've seen more of it than I have. Yeah, how'd you say it handles the story progression, like in actually telling a story?
I mean, I think it's definitely one of those shows where like they can't capture it all in just. I can't remember if it was a 12 episode or if it was like a 20 something.
I believe the original was like a 12 episode thing.
Yeah.
The first season, because then they later did V3 had like 3 different volumes or something weird like that.
Yeah. I think there's only so much that they could capture in a short amount of episodes, but I also think too it's one of those shows where it kind of it's unlike Ace Attorney where you're kind of finding clues and stuff while you're playing the game. The show carries it with the comedy and the funny aspects and the storytelling. Where Danganronpa, I think, you kind of lose the fun of the game by just watching
Yeah,
the
especially
character find the clues.
because all the mini games and stuff too.
Yeah.
But I mean, the show at least did like keep the spirit.
No, yeah,
Well.
it definitely kept the spirit. I mean, I think, but honestly, like thinking back, like it's not very memorable to me.
No.
Like I can't really remember that much of it. You know.
I remember Trigger Happy Havoc more than probably my time, the one time I watched the anime.
Yeah.
Um,
It's simply not one that I ever went back and rewatched.
Yeah, definitely not. I still haven't watched the V3 anime either.
Yeah. I don't think it was. Yeah. I
No,
don't know.
it was dubbed because I have
Yeah, I
the Blu-rays.
know.
I just haven't watched them.
Yeah, I never was interested in watching anymore. I was like, meh. I was like, that was okay.
But so,
I have another one.
Okay, well, you go with the others then.
Did you know that they made an Animal Crossing anime?
I did, but I've
Yeah.
never watched it.
I watched it.
Is it any good?
It's not dubbed. It's only subbed, but it's really adorable.
Is it?
Cause it's just like it's basically like just it goes around and you just get to see all the cute little Animal Crossing characters, but they're all voice acted and stuff, which is just like adorable. It's basically based around like this girl, which is basically like your character if you were in it. And I think they like throw a party or something. I think the plot was actually let me look at the plot. Okay, she moved there during the summer and she befriends the villagers and it's just her participating in activities and I think like I think it's just like just a cute little story. It goes through all the seasons and stuff and oh yeah, they also like had an alien, I think. Cuz the UFO. I remember that. But it was really cute. If you don't mind watching sub, it's definitely an adorable little watch if you can find it.
Yeah.
But it was really cute.
That actually reminds me. Did you know that there was an Ape Escape anime too?
No.
There was like a very short-lived Ape Escape anime.
That's so funny.
That obviously never came out over here because why would it? But I always remember it because I found it online once. It wasn't dubbed per se. Yeah, it definitely wasn't dubbed. But I mean, it was pretty simple. It followed Spike going around stuff, and it kind of like adapted small things. There was also a Frederator cartoon that was like that did come out over here. That was like super goofy. It actually had 76 episodes, but I think they were like really super short.
Oh. It was like one of those shorty ones.
Yeah.
Where it's just a couple minutes. I know another one too. I have never watched this anime and I haven't played. Well, I think I've actually watched the anime a little bit, but I personally just couldn't get into it. But I didn't realize it was actually based off a game. I just lost it. No. It's super popular. Oh, Fate. The Fate series.
Oh, the Fate. Yeah. So I see those all the time in the GameStop, and I'm always like, that just doesn't look interesting to me.
I tried watching the show because actually the reason why I started watching the show was I was dating someone at the time and they were into the show, so yeah. I like was watching it with them, but it was so boring to me. I just couldn't. I think it's but it's super popular. So like don't want to hate on the show if you like it. I just couldn't personally get into it. But also I think like you guys understand my taste in shows, and it's very the goofball comedy show, and I think Fate is one of those like more serious shows.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's got a very dedicated like fan base to it.
Yeah, because they've had. Yeah, because like I mean, look at all the different.
I know there's a ton. Plus the games are all over the place.
Yeah, but I just wanted to mention it because like it's a big one, but I've never played. I've never played the game, and I've watched the anime, and I couldn't get into it.
It's funny too because there was like a ton of anime adaptions from like in the early 2000s that like had like that actually got dubs because ADV would dub anything back in the day, and like it was funny because there was. I'm not going to go super deep in them because I haven't watched enough of them yet. Yeah. But there was a Wild Arms anime. That was it was like these were all like 26 episoders, so they were pretty short. There was Wild Arms had an anime adaptation. Arc the Lad had an anime adaptation. Final Fantasy Unlimited. Now, if you want something that's like completely pointless. Watch Final Fantasy Unlimited.
Oh boy.
It has like nothing to do with Final Fantasy. It is so goofy. Like there's Final Fantasy aspects to it.
Mm-hmm.
I found that at Anime Boston like a couple of years back, like the full box set for like $20. It is so weird, which is funny though because then there's also like the Final Fantasy like Advent Children films,
Yep.
which are actually based off the games, which are Advent Children sucked. Advent Children Complete was better.
Yep.
There was also the Final Order, First Order, which was like a Final Fantasy VII prequel anime that was actually an anime. That was kind of good. It was never dubbed, unfortunately.
Huh.
Yeah, there was just like a ton of those different ones.
Yeah.
I have most of them. Like I want to watch them at some point, just like to see the history there, but I just don't have the time right now. And it's just really funny, honestly. But anyways, guys, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Woo.
And we're back.
We're back. He didn't punch me. Amazing. Every time I do that, he usually punches me. So I'm gonna punch you. He punched me. Shit.
All right. So, anyways, you had a couple games, animes you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I was going to talk about this period of time where the anime companies were pumping out these reverse harem and harem animes based off dating simulators.
Yeah, particularly PS2 and PSP era ones.
Yeah, there was a big, like, I don't remember where, I think it was when I was in, like, middle school, high school. Like, this was happening. Like,
Oh yeah, the classic era of I'd walk into your room and you'd be like, "I'm not watching anything."
anime.
I'd be like,
That's literally what would be happening.
and I'd just turn around and go, "Okay then," and then I'd go proceed to watch Inuyasha probably.
It was a time. There were so many. One of them that's probably a really big one. It's like called Hakuoki. I'd probably butchered
None of
that.
these were dubbed.
No, none of these were dubbed. These were all subs.
You were lucky to get subs, even
You
if they
were
weren't
lucky to get a sub.
even if they weren't real subs.
And basically, the main thing about all of these is it had really pretty male protagonists that were all like the dateable characters, and then a girl that was actually pretty plain. Like she was always kind of plain, and like you kind of had to, if there was a character, it was a plain person, or they made a character for the shows.
Yes. And keep in mind, there was the reverse of this, too, where it was the plain guy and
yeah.
a bunch of attractive girls.
But I mostly watched the ones that were...
obviously.
Yeah. So the Hakuogi one, I butchered that. I'm sorry. It was, like, based in feudal Japan. I think it was actually based on real historic events, too, but obviously they, like, butchered them to make it a reverse harem plot.
It wasn't a feudal fairy tale that I'm a fan of. That's for sure.
No, I think this one was actually like really military and like deathy. Like a lot of people died in it, and like you're like a lot of the roots I remember were kind of dark too. Like the character would die, or like her lover would die, or something. There was a lot of dying, and I remember I tried watching the anime for it, but it was boring for me, so I skipped it.
These, contrary to the popular belief that I really like these romance animes, I enjoy me some romance anime, but I'm not really into this style so much. I do have one that I do know though, and it was called Amagami. It was based off an old PS2 game, and I always remembered seeing clips of it online, and I was always like, "What is that?" So I ended up like Thank you, Sentai, because Sentai will film anything. Will bring anything over, dubbed or not.
Yep.
And they actually brought over the series Amagami and the second series Amagami SS. Mm-hmm. And I watched that one because that one somewhat interested me. I might just be because of nostalgia, and I was really finally discovering what it was. Mm-hmm. But that one, I liked how I don't know if the ones you're talking about handled it similarly, but like every route possible in the game had its own like episodes.
Yeah, so they really did try. Like, another one, another series that I freaking love, and I still love to this day because of how stupid the show is. It's so dumb. It is called Uta no Prince-sama, and it's basically based off, it starts out where they're in a high school, where it's, like, basically, like, a performance arts high school where people are either going to become like music producers, writers, singers, musicians, dancers. It's like an all actors. It's an all arounder school, and the main character is like this girl who wants to be a composer, and she ends up. Her love interests end up forming a band, forming an idol group, and they handle it so well. But one of my favorite scenes is in it has multiple seasons. I think it has like 4 different seasons, but I think it's the 3rd season where it starts out where the girl gets pulled into a limousine by one of the bands and they're all singing to her. And then after their song ends, she then gets pulled into a semi truck with a band like stage, and that band sings to her. And then it finishes where she gets pulled into a plane where and it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, but I loved it, and because it's just so funny.
Yeah.
But it was a really great. I'd say actually it's a really great interpretation of the video game, because the show is based off of them being in an idol group, so you actually get to hear the songs and stuff, and some of them are pretty corny, but like it's really cute if you just want to watch something that's like wholesome and just funny because of how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
But there was a ton of them, like a couple others. I'm not going to go into as much detail. There was one called Kamigami no Asobe, which it was based off a girl who got pulled into a world to teach gods how to like humans. That one was pretty funny. There was another one. Oh, there's like a pretty infamous one that was called what is it called? Diabolic Lovers.
I've heard of
which
that one.
Is
Ugh.
it's the vampire one.
Ugh.
Where they're just like, the main girl character is just such a pushover that it makes you angry watching it, because you're just like...
See, that's one of those ones that I feel like was more made for the men.
Yeah, probably, I guess.
And even then, I don't like it, so...
Yeah, I did not enjoy that one. It just made me angry. Another one, too, was... another very infamous one was called Brothers Conflict.
That just sounds bad.
It is. It's based off, basically, this girl and her father.
What amazes me, these were all video games, too.
Yes, marries a mother who has, like, 20-something sons.
Jesus Christ.
And there's 2 separate games.
And I thought the Duggars were weird.
There's 2 separate games so you can get all the love roots with all the brothers.
No, thank you.
Except for, like, one who's... actually, no, he does have a root. Never mind, he doesn't have a root. It's trash.
Ugh.
It is hot, steaming garbage.
Moving on from...
Wait. I think I got one. Some of these are really funny, just how
I bet they are. You watched all of these back in the day.
Yeah. There wasn't that much going on, Bill, for...
Fair.
It's not like I had a lot of friends.
I didn't either, so...
I guess, like, the only other... Oh, another big one that was controversial was called, from a show, a game called Amnesia. Where it's basically, like, the girl... the episode... How the show kind of took it was, like, she would die at the end of, like, every episode, I'm pretty certain. And, like, it showed all the roots, and one of the roots is, like, this guy who seems super nice, and then he fucking kidnaps her and puts her in a cage.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That was fucked up, you know. And I just remember watching and be like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
But
so...
That was my romance, reverse harem game based off... that made an anime series of shows of things.
So I contributed Amalgamate to that, and you gave me a whole bunch of other garbage. So.
A whole bunch of other hot garbage.
Yep.
We should one day watch
an anime
some
swap.
Of these.
No, we should do an anime
swap. We should do
swap.
a trash anime swap where we just pick hot garbage.
Well, I think we should do an anime swap for those at some point, but well, that's for later. We'll worry about that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, getting back to more traditional games that you might know. Did you know the first film based off of a video game was Mario?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the Mario Brothers movie.
No, I think I've seen. Was it an anime?
Yeah. There was an anime film called Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. Obviously, it was never dubbed. There is unofficial subs around, which is how I've seen it.
Yeah.
It was actually like an anime based off the Mario Brothers, like in a lot of sense. Like, see,
Oh wow.
and I remember it because like it was like very much based off of the cartoon. Well, I mean, the games themselves had the same distinct look. The designs were, for the most part, the same. Luigi was yellow and blue for some reason,
Why not?
which is funny because they actually like that was an alternate like costume for him in the newest Smash Brothers. It's funny because Miyamoto actually massively disliked it for being too like the video games. Yeah, see. But it's actually a really entertaining little watch if you can get past of how like yeah how cheesy it is. I enjoyed what my watch. I remember seeing it as a kid and being really mad that it was in Japanese because I didn't understand at the time. I was like, why is this in Japanese? I don't get it. Then as you grow up and you're done, you're like, oh right, because Japanese in it wasn't dubbed. But I remember that one in particular, and then another fun one that's interesting was. So this one's fun. It's an American property that was made into a Japanese anime, but it's based off a video game.
Oh.
So there was a. It's funny because there's that Halo show on Paramount right now that sucks.
Oh really?
So, on Paramount Plus that sucks ass, but so there was a Halo anime, believe it or not, called Halo Legends, and keep in mind this is from a guy who really didn't grow up with Halo, so I was never a mega Halo fan.
Nope.
I like the games enough, but I'm not like a Halo super fan by any means.
Yeah.
I enjoy Halo Legends. I thought it was really fun. So Halo Legends was an anthology series, and it was basically like a bunch of shorts, each one handled by a different like Japanese anime studio.
Yep.
And each one of them just has like a different like storyline based around the Halo series.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to be a Halo fan to really enjoy them because like they're all fun. Like there's like a couple of them are serious. There's one done by Toei that is like super like not. It's like so it's just Dragon Ball parody. It's like super not serious. The character and it's like a goofball. There's a couple that are directly based off of like the actual games that are like fun to follow, but it's like a quick like I think it's like a 60-minute little like romp, and it's fun. It's like 6 episodes, super simple, and honestly it kind of got me interested in Halo. That's why I started playing the games. But also going back to Mario, we did talk about this recently. Sonic X.
Sonic.
The most
Sonic.
So when we did our Sonic anime like TV series episode, we hadn't finished rewatching Sonic X, but we have now finished rewatching it, and my God,
Yeah.
that show is a freaking dumpster fire.
It's a dumpster fire of greatness with screwdrivers.
Yeah. You never let that one go.
I just couldn't. It was too funny.
And then it turns into a space opera at the end.
Yeah, it does.
Also, we found out that the Rouge boob editing was actually just a Mandela effect.
Yeah, or it's changed for Hulu and maybe it was on 4Kids itself.
I don't know. All I know is they never were edited out in what we watched.
Yeah.
Which was funny.
It was really funny because we were trying so hard to find it. Like, where is it?
Yeah.
Where are the censored boobs? But we couldn't find them.
Yep. But anyways, moving on now, we also get... So, there's a couple more games that I really enjoyed, but that got anime adaptations that sadly were never dubbed. One of the most infamous to me was the Tales of the Abyss anime. Because Tales of the Abyss is my second favorite video game of all time. Like, I adore that game, and it had an anime adaptation, like a full-on 26 episode, tells the whole story of the game. And it was brought over here, because Funny has the rights to it, with full subs, but it was never dubbed.
Huh.
And I think a lot of that has to do with getting the cast together would have been expensive. And it was also, by the time it got brought over here, the game was already, like, who knows how old.
Yeah.
But that one was fun. I really wish that got dubbed, which is sad, because there was other Tales series animes that were brought over and dubbed. Like, there was one for, I believe, Tales of Eternia, there was apparently a Tales of Symphonia animation at one point. Tales of Vesperia First Strike, which is a prequel. Just a whole bunch of them. There was also, do you remember the Street Fighter anime?
No.
There was a Street Fighter animated like movie that was like super violent for like no reason. I remember that one very distinctly.
Oh, I didn't realize that this show was based off. Oh, have you ever heard of School Days
Yes.
and how it ends with
Yes.
a head in the bag?
Yes.
I guess that was based off a video game.
I believe it.
It's on the list. Oh, Steins Gate. I know I've
That's
seen,
another one of those games that I see everywhere, but
I've
I've
seen
just
the anime
never.
a lot too, and I've heard really good things about the anime, but I just haven't watched it because it also kind of seems like a Fate kind of game where it's very serious, and I'm just not into that, as you can see.
Yeah. We also recently have gotten a lot of OVAs, like one-offs of like different like series. Like I remember Fire Emblem had an OVA way back in the day, which was actually one of the first times Americans actually got Fire Emblem because we for some reason got that OVA back in the day.
Yep.
But that's ironically I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised they haven't done a further Fire Emblem anime at this point, considering how popular the series is getting. It's funny too how many fighting games like get like anime adaptions. Like there was a Tekken anime, there was a Virtual Fighter anime, and Virtual Fighter has like literally no story, which is really funny. Obviously, Street Fighter, Sakura Wars. That's another one that's interesting because Sakura Wars had an anime that came out over here before the games did, because we didn't get a Sakura Wars game until the 5th one. And even then, like we've only recently just gotten the new one, which because they just recently rebooted it.
Yep.
Which is those are pretty fun. It's actually kind of crazy how many different like anime games I've noticed lately. Like there was a Hyperdimension Neptunia anime. There was the Seren Kagura got 2 animes.
Wow.
For a really niche series, and they both got fully dubbed too, which was interesting because Funny picked them up. Funny picks up some weird shit too.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Well, I think they like to try things out, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't.
So this one's a bit of a stretch, but because it's not technically an anime, but it basically is. Castlevania.
Oh yeah. No, true.
I mean, it's not, but it is. It's like one of those like. It's not like the Avatar where it's anime inspired. Like this is basically an anime. That show is great. Like I fucking love Castlevania.
Yeah.
Because it basically retells the classic like Castlevania 3 story, but it does it so original. It's like literally the best thing to come that Konami's put out in ever, really. Like in so long.
In ever.
Well, because Konami sucks so hard now, and the fact that they actually like gave the rights to like do something like this, that's actually really competent, and it's like super violent and like it isn't like restricted at all. They like just do what they want and tell a great story. Especially because I love Castlevania, and apparently they're doing more seasons now where they're moving on to like different games now.
Oh, nice.
Which is really awesome. Do you remember Kirby had an anime?
It did?
Kirby Right Back at You.
Huh.
It was another 4Kids thing that they dubbed.
Oh boy.
And
so it was shit.
Apparently, I never watched it. Like I always remember catching it occasionally back when like you'd be watching like whatever channel distributed 4Kids back in the day.
Yep.
And I remember always catching it and being like, "It's so goofy. It looks just like the games, but I hate."
But I hate it.
I hate it because I wasn't a big Kirby fan because we didn't have Nintendo consoles at the time.
Yeah.
There was also an F-Zero anime.
Oh.
If you remember that,
Huh.
which is where the Falcon Punch actually was used.
Falcon Punch.
But so 4Kids actually attempted to dub that, but they only got like I think like 12 episodes, and they just said fuck it. No one's watching.
up.
No one's watching this.
And then it just disappeared.
Yeah, it really did. Honestly, I'm surprised. There's like a bunch more that I feel like have been coming out lately. Like I'm surprised they haven't tried another Mario anime at this point. Like I feel like that's something that would print money.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Or another Sonic anime. Sonic.
Well, no, we're getting that new Sonic series on Netflix that looks crappy.
Oh. Womp womp womp.
There's also Monster Rancher had an anime. That was like another Pokemon-esque style of series. There's a Parappa the Rappa anime. Wow.
Huh.
It's funny going down this list of like all of these ones. Like Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor had one. Ragnarok the animation. Dragon Quest. There's Dragon Quest anime now.
Huh. Oh yeah, I've actually heard that's really good.
I bet it is. It's not dubbed though, which is why I haven't got around to it yet.
Ah.
I will at some point. Just I don't know when. There was a lot of Steins Gate. Wow. Super Robot Wars. I think that's a mech anime. I'm gonna guess.
Probably.
The Sonic OVA. That doesn't count. A lot of these came out in like the early 2000s too, and no one remembers.
Yeah.
Like there was all sorts of these. The Idol Master.
Ooh.
I didn't realize those were games until like recently. Professor Layton, I forgot he had a movie. See, Professor Layton's a fun one because they were basically like animes within the games. Because those were ahead of their times for the time with those distinct animation styles. But I believe he actually had a full-on series at one point. Too. I gotta replay those at some point. I actually really enjoyed those.
Yeah. No, I gotta go. There's so many things I gotta go back and rewatch. So many.
There was a Splatoon anime too.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. I thought I saw that. Well, there's a Splatoon manga too, so.
Oh yeah, manga. We were gonna briefly mention that. You know the Pokemon manga?
Yes.
Pokemon Adventures? It's like dark as shit for no reason.
Oh yeah, you've told me that.
Like Pokemon get cut up in it. It's really fucking dark.
What the?
But that goes completely in its own direction. Like Red is a completely different character. Like Ash doesn't exist, thank God.
Whoa! Best choice.
Red, blue, green,
yellow, purple, magenta,
Ruby and Sapphire. Because they name all the characters off of their games. So like there's Emerald, there's an Emerald, there's like Diamond and Pearl.
Leaf.
No, Leaf's the game version.
Oh.
It's so funny though.
Turquoise.
It's funny though how like a game like video games are just such an easy thing for people to make for the animation studios to make adaptions of.
Yep.
Because you already have a story. You can easily stretch that. You can stretch like especially RPGs. You can easily take a 100-hour experience and stretch that out into a 26 episode anime. And boom, instant profit.
Woo!
And I mean, it works sometimes. Like I definitely Persona 4, the animation is like a top-notch anime. Ace Attorney was top-notch.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other ones that were like I still think hold up. Like I still say Digimon holds up. By far. Halo Legends.
Sonic X.
No, that's barely an anime.
I love it.
I love it because it's garbage, but gotta go fast. Gotta go faster, faster. Go. Yeah. But yeah, I think we're pretty much out. Honestly, we're gonna have to do the reverse of this at some point of video game anime video game adaptions.
Yes, that will take a little more work.
Because there's a lot to talk about there.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, guys, once again, thanks for joining us on the Gaming Collecting Podcast. The Gaming Collecting Podcast can be found on all your major podcasting platforms,
Every single one of them.
Yeah, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. We are made on Anchor Podcasts. And you can follow us on social media on Instagram and Twitter, also on Good Pods. And the episodes eventually come out on YouTube whenever. Well,
whenever I feel like.
Whenever I have, basically once we find a new place and I have time to actually edit them. But besides that, guys, once again, thanks for joining us, and we will see you all next time.
See you later.
And bye.
Goodbye.